welcome to another edition of Shed Talk and this first video for October. Well, September was actually quite a busy month for me, so whilst I got some videos out, there weren't too many of the shed, and most of that was because I was either prepping for a show or at a show, and I also had a weekend away. So not a chance really to do too many videos of actually the shed, of what was going on in the shed, or to do that much work in the shed, in all honesty. You would have seen some of those videos, and one of those in particular has gone down really well, and that was the Mid-Essex Gold Show. Thanks for all the support you've shown on that video. It's been amazing how many views there's been in such a short space of time. A particular thanks goes out to the people who organised that show. So the show team, the show manager, show secretary, etc., and also all of the judges for laying on an excellent show. I really did enjoy that, and enjoyed meeting some new faces and some old faces at the show. So once again, thanks for that. If you haven't seen the video, I'll put a link across the top of the screen, but I'm sure most of you would have seen it by now. So what have we got coming up in this video? Well, this month is mainly going to be looking at sorting out the birds, so making a thorough assessment of the birds and then looking at which ones are going to make the breeding team, any that I'm going to keep just for stock birds or for the show team, and then the remainder will of course go in the sales cows cage. So that's really what I'm going to be doing in October. But before I do that, I think I mentioned it in a video a couple of videos ago. I wanted to sort out a couple of the old breeding cages and convert them into stock cages. They haven't been used for a long time, so there is quite a bit of work that needs doing on them. And as you saw from the opening clip and from this clip here, they are in a bit of they were in a bit of a state, and where they've been just left in the various sheds, gathering dust and cobwebs because they're not being used. So there's quite a bit of work to do on them to bring them up into a position where I can use them as stock cage, either to hold birds I'm waiting to breed with, or to hold the show team, or perhaps even to hold some of the sales birds. There is some other work that I'm thinking about doing, still early on in my head at the moment, and I might come on to that perhaps in the next video or the video after that, of what that might be. So really this one is just looking at the work I'm going to be doing on those various stock cages, or on particularly one of the stock cages. So if you enjoy the videos, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. If you want early notifications, then please do hit the bell. As always, thanks to all those who subscribed. Please do comment on the videos if you enjoy them, or any suggestions you might have for future videos. So let's go and have a look at these stock cages then. So the first thing I did was to remove the fronts of the stock cage, as you can see here, and then I gave them all a thorough wash. Well, hoovered them out first and then gave them all a thorough wash. As you can see, they're looking a little bit better state now. They were in a real, this one was in a real mess. The cages themselves can be split into two, so you could split them, and you can see the center bar, hopefully just there, where there is a little cage separator. So you can either have two separate breeding cages or one long stock cage. I expect for the most part I'm going to treat these as one long stock cage. When they came with these perches that you can see here. I'll just try and zoom in on one. They're wooden perches, and they just connected into the wire cage fronts. I'll show you the cage fronts in a second. But it meant they weren't particularly steady, and I was using them for a breeding cage. As you probably know, the perches need to be quite firm in order for the hen to be able to grip it while the cockbird's treading. So what I did was I put some blocks on the back of the cages, you can see them there, and then glued the perches into them, which made them a bit more steady. Unfortunately, with them being quite a soft wood, the hens made short work of the perches. As you can see, there's one there that was completely chewed and gnawed away, and this one here, I'll try and zoom out just a fraction, you can see has been partially chewed. So I'm still having a little bit of a think about what I might do in terms of the perches that I'm going to use, whether I'm going to continue using these or replace them with something else. Just let me have your thoughts in the comment of what you think. So they've been washed out, the cages have been washed out. Other than the perches, these parts of the cages aren't too bad. I needed to do a bit of work on the bit where the slide goes in to separate it into two, because they had got quite badly fouled, but they're quite clear now, so that should be working okay. But otherwise they're all right, which is more than can be said for the cage fronts and the bottom trays that go into there. So the pull-out trays at the bottom. We'll have a look at those now. So here then is the front to the stock cages. There are two of them, one for either side. This one here isn't too bad, as you can probably see. It's not in too bad a condition. Now it's been washed, it looks reasonable. However, the other one that goes on the other side, is very, I'm sure you can see this, is been very badly chewed again by the hen. And actually, when it's fitted to the cage front, the bird can actually get out through that. Previously, what I'd done was a sort of, I suppose, a very simple running repair, and I covered it with some cage wire just to hold it. I'm trying to work out what I might want to do to repair this. I could either replace the whole batten that runs down the side, or I could replace just the bit that's been chewed away, so glue a new piece of wood inside, or I suppose the easiest solution would be to just put a metal connecting bar between the two, that's a similar width to the batten. I'm going to have a think about that. Of course, the alternative is to have a look at the other cage fronts and see if I can just swap one out. Unfortunately, the cage fronts will only go on one way, one side, so which means that the other ones that fit the same side as this, I believe, are also being chewed. So it may be that I'm not going to get a chance to do that. So that's the cage front. Sort of 50-50, I suppose, in terms of the bits that have been chewed and the bits that haven't. We'll have a look at the trays that go in the bottom of the thing, and I'll show you just how badly they were damaged. So here are the bases. This is one of the slide out trays that you can see, and as you can see from here, once again, the hen had a go at the corner and has chewed away the corner there. This one's not too bad actually in comparison to the other one. Where, as you can clearly see from this, the hen has chewed half of the bottom of the tray away, and one of the battens as well. So completely ruined. I think, have a couple of these trays from the other stock cages, or the other old wooden breeding cages, that are in better condition than these. So I expect what I'm going to do initially is just swap those round, so that I've got to end up with not having to repair these too much, or do as much repair on them initially, just so I can bring this one back into use, and then I'll repair these in a bit more slower time. So now I've cleaned them up and washed them all out, the next thing to do is to paint the cages. Well, that's one coat on there. It's going to take a couple, I think. I'm just using some spare paint that I've had hanging around for a little while, so I'm not sure it's the best paint to do these with. I'm sure I could get one that would cover it in one. However, working on a budget, spare paint would have only gone to waste, so I suppose it will do. And it's just a couple of coats, I think, will do it. So far I've just done the insides and the top. I've still got the outsides to do. So there we go. First bit started. Still not sure what I'm going to do with the perches. So a quick update on the cage fronts. I mentioned earlier that I couldn't swap these damaged ones from the one that I'm revamping with the good one on one of the other cages, because they would only go on a particular side, and all the ones that were damaged were from that side. However, I've double checked, and the only reason why they should only go on one side is for them to be duplicated on each side, so the nest box would be on the same side of the smaller cage. I hope that makes sense. So so in terms of where the nest box door, which is here, would go, but you could put them on the other side if you weren't fitting a nest box, or if you didn't mind which side the nest box went on. And as I'm going to be using this as a stock cage, it means that I don't have to worry about where the nest box door bit is on the cage, so I can swap them around. That was a rather long-winded way of saying I can swap them around after all. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one off one of the other cages, one of the ones that looks okay, and give that a clean up, and that will be one of the ones that I painted, and I can do these in a bit more slow time. So here are the cages all finished up. As you can see, I used a white emulsion on them. I expect that gloss would have been better. However, I was a bit concerned about the smell, as I was having to do this actually in the shed, and the white emulsion that I had left over was said that it could be painted with pets in the room. So I've used that. Didn't cause any problems to the birds, thankfully. I did ventilate while I was doing it, so but otherwise it was fine. It did need a couple of coats of paint over the top of it, just to make sure that it was fully coated, and there's still a few gaps. It's not the greatest bit of paintwork, but then again, it's a lot better than it did look. And I'll see if at the end I can do a quick comparison between the scruffy cage and the way it looks now. In terms of the cage fronts, as I said before, they can be fitted either side. The only thing I needed to do, however, was just make sure that the where the screws go in, there were holes on one side and not on the other. So I did have to re-screw it, as you can probably see from this. Finally, the perches. I've used the same ones in there. I've still got one that I do need to replace, but the others have just been refitted. They should be okay, as it's only being used as a stock cage. Well, there we go. That's the cage all completed, all assembled. Just waiting on some birds now, and that will be for the next episode. So that's just about all we've got time for in this video. Really sorry there weren't any clips of actual birds in this one. It was all focused on revamping that particular cage. But the next two videos coming up will focus solely on the birds. So in the next video, we're going to look at sorting the birds into their, as I said, into breeding team, keepers and sales cage, I suppose, mainly is what we'll be talking about. So I will show you all of the birds that I'm planning to keep and why I'm planning to keep them. I'm not going to go through in the next video to all of the how I do it, because I did a video on that about this time last year. So, and I'll put a link to that across the top of the screen or at the end of this video if you want to go back and have a look at that. And then following on from that, we'll look at pairing up. So I will show you my plans around my first 6 pairs that I'm going to pair up ready for the new breeding season. But that's for the next 2 videos. Until then, please do stay safe and enjoy your birds.